All car corruption dealer companies are linked to Zanu PF big wigs. This is a report that is now out. You remember, family, all those corruption deals that we have been talking about involving many different ministries, government ministries of MNANGAGWA, ministers, permanent secretaries, and the like, and other departments of Zanu PF government. We have seen quite a lot of thievery that is going on through car dealership. And we've been talking about quite millions of monies that have been paid to most of these companies, and yet nothing so far, or just a few cars would have been delivered at the end of the contract. Yet the monies have already been paid. And we've been saying that this is just a scheme. And the scheme, how they want it to work, is whereby a member who is connected to Zanu PF elites is given the tender, knowing that they are not going to be supplying whatever that they have won the tender for. So what happens is government pays. When government pays, these guys are going to meet behind the scenes, and then they say, okay, we have ordered up 250 cars, so just supply 50. The other 200, they convert that to cash, and then they give each other the monies. Then they start sharing according to their hierarchy. And of course, I can tell you that in all these deals, there is a big chunk that goes to MNANGAGWA directly. This is how bad the situation is, and this is how corrupt MNANGAGWA is, to the point that he authorizes corruption within the ministries and the departments of government, and he even gives them a figure that he wants, that, okay, out of that deal, they know that maybe 50% goes to MNANGAGWA, and then the rest is now shared across the board from everyone who has participated in making the deal come to pass. And of course, those ones, those owners of the garages, they are benefiting because they inflate the prices of the cars. They bring in the cars duty free because they bring in the cars in the name of some government or Zanu PF or big wig, and the border guys will quickly shake and allow them to come in. And this is the kind of corruption that we are seeing happening, and it's sickening, very bad. And this constitutes to where we are today. When we see Zimbabwe on its knees the way it is today, then we need to understand where all this is coming from. It's definitely coming from these illicit deals that we are seeing Zanu PF engaged in, and nothing is happening. No matter how many times reports are coming out, and MNANGAGWA would just ignore. He pretends and behaves as if there is nothing, like nothing has ever happened. And this is how he is. And it's unfortunate that we have such kind of leadership. It's painful, Zimbabwean people. It's painful, my brothers and my sisters, when we look at the kind of monies that are being stolen by these thieves. And yet Zimbabwe continues to suffer. The citizens of Zimbabwe, they can't have what they have what they need to have as a citizen, because we have a group of people, very few for that matter, who have just decided that we are sitting at the helm of Zimbabwe, not for anything else, but for self-enrichment, to steal as much as we can before we can vacate and disappear. This is all that they are doing. And very sad, and the country is not going to get any better as long as we have these people as leaders. And Zanu PF will never ever improve Zimbabwe as long as we still have the kind of people that we are seeing today. The corruption levels in Zanu PF have just reached a certain level that it is just beyond redemption now. They can't, even themselves, they are also bound by this spirit of thuggery and thievery, to the point that they can't even help themselves out of it. So Zanu PF can never reform. Zanu PF can never be better. Zanu PF also can't stop what they are doing. This is now part of them, and it is now them. So stealing is now Zanu PF, and Zanu PF is now stealing. So for you to separate the two, you can't, because one has become the other. So what is it that Zimbabwean people need to do? Zimbabwean people need to draw the line in the sand. Zimbabwean people need to rise up and demand that we are sick and tired of Zanu PF. We need to continue to caucus, to discuss, and come up with ways and means of how to put much pressure on Zanu PF and Emmerson Mnangagwa. We have been talking about the upcoming SADC, and we are saying, let's help each other to send and spread the word out there to the Zimbabwean people all over the world, all over Zimbabwe itself, to give a message that we need to express ourselves during this time that Mnangagwa has splashed out 200 million for. 200 million only to prepare for SADC leadership that are coming into Zimbabwe, and he has to splash all such kind of monies. But well, we are saying, okay, why not use that very opportunity to go against what he is planning, so that we also send a clear message to these leaders that these people are illegal in Zimbabwe. These are not the government chosen by the people of Zimbabwe. And SADC knows it, the AU knows it, and all other international bodies, even those that came to observe the elections on the 23rd of August 2023, they know what transpired, they know what happened there. So it's not a secret about Zimbabwe that Emmerson Mnangagwa is an illegitimate leader. It's not a secret that ZANU-PF is not the government chosen by the people of Zimbabwe. So this is the war that we are fighting, the battle we are fighting, and we need to continue to put it right at the doorstep of ZANU-PF without even thinking twice. ZimLife reports that MPs urge blacklisting of contracted firms that fail to deliver despite upfront payment. A lot of business operators who get awarded lucrative government tenders are persons with close links to the ZANU-PF elite. And this is what is happening. Very, very unfortunate. So the MPs are urging that they need to blacklist some of these companies that have failed to do this. But I know what is going to happen. They simply change the names of the companies or open up other companies with new names, and they bring them back, and they are again, given these same tenders without even thinking twice. Or even these MPs, can we really trust this parliament that is sitting today? Because this is more of a Shabang parliament, and we don't even think they have teeth enough to stop this kind of rot that we are seeing happening. So even while these MPs may try to make noise about it, unless if it is ZANU-PF MPs, maybe if we can have ZANU-PF MPs who can strongly support and stand for this thing, it may make a bit of a difference. But as long as it is these Shabang MPs who are still in parliament, they can make as much noise as they can, but nothing will ever change, because eventually even Shabang himself will end up telling them to just shut up, and then the story will just die a natural death. Definitely, as Zimbabwean people, we can't trust that that parliament which is sitting today, because of the nature that caused its or perpetuated its constitution. We know how they came into power. We know what happened with Emmerson Mnangagwa, and we know. And I was looking at one Mrakashi who was saying Shabang is a very powerful man. He's the only man who has managed to silence Nelson Chamisa. I just laughed to myself, and I say, what? Why are some people so out of touch with the reality? Shabang is the weakest man ever. The only thing that happened was just that ZANU-PF used its muscle to support Shabang. If Zimbabwe was a normal country with normal courts and normal systems, Shabang could have just been blown off the very moment that he first wrote the first letter. But because we have a country that is not normal, we have a judiciary system that is captured, we have a police, we have all the like. That's why. So the one who is powerful is not Shabang. The one who is powerful is Mnangagwa, because he's the one abusing the systems that are supporting Shabang. So nobody should come and tell us that Shabang is so powerful and things like that, what Marakash are saying out there. And anyway, one thing that we know is definitely our country is going to get to freedom one of these fine days, and we are getting closer and closer. And people like Songezo Shabang are going to pay dearly for what they have done to the Zimbabwean people. We are not going to forget this. They should never lie to themselves that as Zimbabwean people we are ever going to forget. We are not going to forget. We are keeping all these activities in our diaries. We are waiting for the right time to pounce. And by the time that we are coming as Zimbabwean people and we are pouncing on them, they should never cry foul. Never should they ever cry foul, because we are coming after them, and they will pay through their noses for what they've caused, the suffering that they've caused on the Zimbabwean people. And this is not going to just go unchallenged. So this is what it is, family. We are looking at a parliament that is pushing to see if they can try to blacklist those companies. So we will continue to watch and see if they will succeed. Because some of these companies, they actually belong to these ZANU-PF bigwigs. They are fronting people. Like when I go and see Victor, it's obvious that Victor is connected, or is just a pawn. He's just a puppet of some big ZANU-PF guy. It could be even Emerson Mnangagwa himself. It could be Collins and Sean Mnangagwa. It could be Auxilia Mnangagwa. It could be one of these top guys in ZANU-PF, Vanampof, Vanachina Masa, and the like. So this is what it is. So we can't have a country. This is exactly why they are causing buying a car in Zimbabwe. I mean, importing a car into Zimbabwe become a very difficult thing. They are blocking that because they know that they are the ones that are in charge of these garages that are selling cars in Zimbabwe, and they are making a killing out of the poverty and the suffering of the Zimbabwean people. And it's a sad development that really needs to be fought so hard. This is why we are saying in this season, we are in the season that family, we must rise up as Zimbabwean people. We must get tired of what ZANU-PF is doing. This idea of watching things and we forget, talking about things and we forget about them, it must come to an end, where we get to a place where we need to also stand and fight. We need to also start to put pressure on Emerson Mnangagwa and ZANU-PF. We must start to tell ourselves that, enough is enough. What is it that we as a people of Zimbabwe can do to put pressure on Mnangagwa? There is already pressure. We thank God that there is already pressure in ZANU-PF, where we are seeing them fighting one another and we are seeing exposures coming, but we also can put more pressure by doing something as a citizen. And that is going to work quite a great deal in terms of, making sure that these guys, they quickly go out of power, because already they are weakened. Mnangagwa, where he stands right now, is a weakened, he's a wounded lion, and he can't maneuver that much. And we have to be capitalizing on that very advantage. And the upcoming SADC summit is one other window that we can use to also put pressure, as much pressure as we can, on ZANU-PF and Emerson Mnangagwa. And our country will be free. Zimbabwe will be free. Zimbabwe will become better. Zimbabwe will become great. And only us as Zimbabwean people can decide that our time for freedom is now, and we need to push and push harder until we push the enemy out of the seat of power. This is what we are looking at, and this is what we are watching, family, happening right throughout the country. So as for now, we are still watching, and we will give you information as and when we continue to receive more and more of what is happening around our nation. Thank you so much for joining me on the show. As usual, I urge you to subscribe to the channel, like, and share. We'll meet in the upcoming shows.